the two words, how to. Particularly when it comes to information style literature, the how-to title, I believe, is more common than any other format of title. So use it for the titles of your talks. Yeah. What's the big problem you help people solve? So your title becomes the big promise for people coming in and investing half an hour to listen to you. Keep going. So why bother? It's all about the leads, right? It's all about the leads. Now,
this is the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast for entrepreneurs and business owners looking for cool online tools, apps and strategies to make business easy online. My name is Nick Cree and I'm your host. Each episode features a guest expert demystifying the online universe, sharing inspirational ideas and providing tested real-world strategies to help you get the most of what's available online to grow your business today. Don't be a slave to your business. Get your business working for you. Subscribe now and get some great content and ideas for you and your business today.
Tonight's all about using public speaking or being a guest speaker to generate new, fresh leads for your business. So I tend to reframe the concept of public speaking for people right at the beginning of what I do. And the first thing in that is that you don't have to be a professional speaker or a coach in order to take your place at the front of a room at a local networking event or business event or industry event. The second thing is that there is plenty of opportunity for it, believe it or not. So the networking group's standard part of their agenda is to have a guest speaker. So they've got to fill a speaker every week, every month. So they're always looking for interesting, fresh topics. And let's face it, there's only so many motivational talks or social media talks that a networking group can listen to in a year. And so your presentation about the types of problems that you solve for your clients, the dreams and goals that you help them achieve. And I'm going to talk to you tonight about how to package it up in that way, because some people think, no one would be interested in what I have to say. Well, I beg to differ. You can create a really fresh and interesting talk that you can get out and about and present at networking events. And the third one that most people are very interested to hear is that you can become in control of the nerves rather than the nerves being in control of you. And that's the balance. You just want to tip the balance the other way. Some people think that they have to eliminate nerves. Oh, thank you, Nick. That's fantastic. Have to eliminate nerves altogether in order to be able to present well. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. We actually, I was trying to get this on the other screen. All we need to do is to, hang on, if I exit, then I can move it. Then I'm going to be looking at you. Fantastic. All we need to be doing is to get ourselves in control of the nerves so that we can get access to our memory, be able to remember what we're talking about, be more present in the room when we are delivering our presentation so that we can be aware of what's happening. And that will enable you to use your own style. There was a lady before mentioned that she was thinking of going to a Toastmasters. I repelled from that many, many years ago because I thought it was a good thing, but I found that it was a particular formal format. And, even in the 90s, things were changing away from that a little bit. And I wanted to be able to, I guess, come fully into my own style of presenting. And that's what I encourage my students to do, is that you have your own unique idiosyncrasies, your own ways about you, your own mannerisms, your own use of humor or sincerity or a mix of the both. And we want to be able to bring that forward so that you're delivering from that basis. Otherwise, if you're trying to fit into a predetermined style, you won't be yourself at the front of the room, and therefore you're not likely to attract the leads or anything that you want. Jeff wants to give away products like a book. Well, fantastic. That's good. That's good. That's good. We can do that. You can certainly do that. Gallery. That's who I want. Gallery. Okay, so take me to the next slide, please, Nick. Okay, so we've reframed your thinking. Just remember those three things, that you don't have to be a public speaker. You can get in control of your nerves, and there are significant opportunity for you to be able to become a speaker at a local event. Just have a look at these. So go forward, Nick. So the benefits of becoming a speaker: builds your reputation. Just click through these, Nick. Yep. Builds your contact list, builds referrals, and builds leads. Right. So this is people who express to you, and I've got a format. I'll get them to do that in writing. So they fill in a form for me, and I have no problem getting people to fill in the form, by the way, to be able to say, yes, I'm interested in what you spoke about. Please get in contact with me. And that's what you want. So if you think about a networking group or a business group, normally there's 16 or so people there if it's a networking breakfast. If it's an industry networking event, say a once a month industry networking event, you might end up with more. But be prepared to speak at small groups so that you can just stop for a minute, Nick.
Sorry, that was the cat walking across the keyboard.
That was the cat walking over the keyboard. So if you be prepared to speak to small groups, what's going to happen when you talk about the problems that you solve and the dreams and goals that you help people achieve, then there'll be a subset of that 16 people who are actually within your target audience. And that might be 1, 2, 3, or 4 people out of that size group. That's about it. But what you want is the majority of those saying, hey, yes, you've got a solution to the problem that I can't solve myself, or the outcome that I want to achieve for myself. I want to be talking with you further. And that's your lead then to get you to the next stage of your sales process, which is to be able to sit down and have a sales meeting. Okay, so everybody wave their hands. That's quite often for a customized solution what we've got to do. We want to get qualified people who have the need for what we offer, and we've got to be able to get face-to-face with them so we can have that discovery session, fully understand their needs, fully understand their desired outcomes, and then make a proposal to them as to how our mix of products and services can help them get where they want to get to. And if you can do that more often than not, then you're going to have a really good conversion rate. So what we're looking for out of the audience that you speak to is that 3, 4, or 5 people that are in that audience that have your need for your particular product or service. The rest of the group, don't worry about the rest of the group feeling bored, because they are people that come along and love listening to guest speakers. It's a very friendly audience, these networking style of groups. They're quite forgiving. So if you structure your talk in the way I'm going to show you tonight, they'll actually find your talk quite interesting. So you'll get positive comments and positive feedback from them. But really the reason why you do it is to get those leads in your hand at the end of that networking event. So you've got a good 2 or 3 or 4 people to follow up on and go and have good positive meetings with. So just move to the next one, Nick. So bring all those up at once for me, Nick. One more after that. So these are people who've come through my workshops, and I'll read, these are the titles of their talk. It's very important that you craft a good, compelling title for your talk, because that's what's going to get you booked. And it's also what's going to get the backsides in the chairs at your talk, because people will go, oh, I'm interested in that. I want to go along. Okay. And the organizers of these events really do love a compelling title, because it solves the marketing problem for them, right? So discover why you click with some people and clang with others. This lady, Sharon Hudson's her name, she has a company that offers HR tools. So they're all around the profiling tools, so the team profiling tools and understanding people better and those sorts of things. And so her target audience is small businesses with sort of 10 or more employees, right through to big companies. And of course, in big companies, she's talking to the HR directors and presenting to them. The next one, how to get the home loan you need to buy the house that you want. Aussie Dream Home Loans is that business, and Deb Murphy does a really good job of helping people understand that, hey, just because you might have heard some things about home loans and you mightn't fit into a particular box, there are that many options, and we can help you get the loan you need to buy the house that you want. You can become an award-winning, how you can become an award-winning business. So that's a lady, Lara Arden, copywriter, and Lara helps people write award applications. And funnily enough, she was practicing part of this presentation in my full day workshop. One of the real estate agents that came along to the workshop actually picked her up as became a client of hers because he wanted to win the real estate awards at the upcoming ceremonies in a few months' time, but didn't know how to write an award application. Lara took him on, wrote the award application for him, and he won. So that was really interesting. How to make $1 million in real estate commissions with one just listed ad. This is a colleague of mine, Mike Hilsden, who owns and runs the chatbot agency. He's doing some very interesting things in the real estate market with Facebook Messenger marketing. And so he's appealing to the real estate agents and the agency owners who want to make big money from real estate and solve their advertising problem. All of those people are using their particular presentation and generating leads from everyday audiences at business events locally. They're not flying interstate or internationally. They're doing probably one of these a month. Keep going. So just flip that one, just keeps going, yeah. So think about all of those groups that are around. Networking groups, industry groups, meetups, franchise groups. Don't underestimate going and speaking to meetings of franchise owners via your state master franchise of any particular group, particularly if you are selling business services, yes. In fact, one of the largest clients I ever had and quite a long time client and plenty of business opportunity came out of it from a 20-minute presentation at a monthly franchise owners meeting, because that particular franchise owner saw me speak at one of these groups I'm talking about, and he likes to bring guest speakers in for his business owners to expand their thinking. I got the opportunity to speak, and it just turned into client after client after client for quite a long time. Chamber meetings, they can be quite big. Conferences, expos, lunches and learns. So there are organizations that will allow people to come in at a lunchtime to give training, whether it's business training or personal training. So anybody who's in the wellness game, I believe that lunch and learns would be a terrific opportunity to do a 30-minute little talk and generate some leads as a result of that. And of course, you can run your own events. It's hard to get bums on seats. Just talk to Nick about that. He's up to his eyeballs in the event game, and it's a fairly challenging marketing, but you can do some collaboration, a bit like what Nick and I are doing tonight as well, in order to make that happen. If you can go to the next one, Nick. So organizers need your help. One more. So they are constantly looking for speakers. Guest speakers fall over. They get sick. They get double booked. All of those sorts of things happen. So you can be the solution. And I say that because sometimes people worry about, oh, how am I going to, if I've got to push my way in to become a speaker? Not at all. You're actually a win-win for the organizer of the networking events. Typically, it will take you anywhere between sort of 6 and 8 weeks to get on the speaking roster. They don't tend to have them booked up much further in advance than that. So if you learn what we're talking about tonight and through other mechanisms, then you could be on the local speaking circuit, so to speak, with local events from January, February next year, and bringing lots of new leads. That is a really, really good time to be doing this as well, because people come back from their holidays and they're ready for change and new things. So if you can actually be on the networking speaking rounds prior to Easter, it's a really positive time of year to be doing that. Keep going, Nick. What do you talk about? So the problems you solve for customers and the dreams you help them achieve. You want to package those things up. Don't talk about what you do, because that's boring to someone who doesn't do what you do. And you don't want to talk too much about what you do, because as an expert in what you do, you'll dive right into a lot of detail, and you can speak straight over the top of the heads of the people in the audience and lose them. Or you can give too much information and create too much complexity, because you know a lot more than what they do. And I'm not speaking poorly of people. You're just an expert in your field and they have a different field to you. But if you confuse people in your talk, then confused people do nothing, and you won't get any leads and you won't get any referrals. Keep going, Nick. So back to those titles again, just bring them all on. That's fantastic. So the first one, discover why you click with some people and claim with others. That's about solving communication problems. The next one's about the dream of owning your own home. The next one's about the dream of being an award-winning business. The next one's about the dream of making $1 million. So it's either solving a problem or achieving a dream. You'll see the way the titles are structured. Discover, how to, how you can, how to. what you'll find particularly in the publishing realm, Ron was talking about Amazon prior. Just go and have a look at how many books on Amazon start with the two words "how to." Particularly when it comes to information style literature, the how-to title, I believe, is more common than any other format of title. So use it for the titles of your talks. Yeah. What's the big problem you help people solve? So your title becomes the big promise for people coming in and investing half an hour to listen to you. Keep going. So why bother? It's all about the leads, right? It's all about the leads. Now think about this. You're all business owners. You're all into your own marketing. We've talked about that. Where else can you put 30 minutes into a marketing activity and walk away with a bunch of leads in your hand with $0 spent, right? It doesn't cost you anything to become the guest speaker at a local event. A little bit of practice to get the cobwebs out of the system and a little bit of preparation, but it doesn't cost you anything. And you will get, as you saw before in that little pyramid that I put together, you'll build reputation, you'll get contacts, you'll get referrals, and you'll get leads. And you'll probably get more leads from this than many other things you might have thrown money at. If anyone on the call tonight has thrown money at an online marketing activity only to see the money flitter away and no leads or anything come from it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You'll get leads from this process. There's no doubt about that. And I would, if this is appealing to you, think about making this a strategy in your business. Being a guest speaker isn't a once-off, nice, fluffy feeling event. It can be a strategy in your business, and you can book yourself up once a month for probably 10 months of the year, because December doesn't have many networking events, or they just have their Christmas parties, and January they often have off. So really there's 10 months of them in the year. Why don't you speak at something within an hour and a half's drive from your office once a month? Let's think about it. And if you pick up 3 good leads and you turn 2 of those into clients, that's not bad for most small business. And by the look of the people in the room, many of you are in that sort of small business, tiny business arena anyway, and an extra couple of sales a month makes a fair difference, yeah? Keep going, please. So all of you can do what I'm talking about if you have a structure, right? This is so, so important. This is the blood and guts of it all, because if you get the structure right, then you will be able to overcome your nerves. You'll be able to deliver a compelling presentation. You'll be able to yield leads from the room. You'll be able to stay on time and not run over time or not run out of time. So if you just flick the next one up for me, there's a few points, Nick. There's 5 of them. Go to the first 5 and then stop for me. Okay, so the structure is quite simple. We have an upbeat opening. I'm going to give you an example of how to do each of these after I've talked through them for you, so you know why, when you do certain things and why you do it. You have an upbeat opening. One of the worst things I see with the opening is that people get to the front of the room and they sort of buggerize around, right, before they get on with it. And what you want to do is to be commanding the audience. That doesn't mean you're trying to be boss man or boss lady. It's just you're commanding the attention, you're getting on with things, and you're starting to deliver value right from the word go. And in a 30-minute presentation, you haven't got time to do anything other than just sort of snap to it and get on with it. And you need a fairly commanding opening, because sometimes at networking events, your introductions, they won't be as professional as what Nick gave tonight. Right? At a conference, you may have a professional MC and they'll do a very good introduction for you, and they'll prepare the delivery of what you send to them. But with networking events, quite often they've printed your bio out off your website or what you sent to them 5 minutes before they got in the car to drive to the event. They've not read it. They stumble and stammer over your name and all the other things, and it's a dog's breakfast of an introduction. So if you don't start powerfully straight after that, you're going to be coming off the back of a less than advantageous introduction. 3 key points, only 3 key points. That's it, no more. Stop, don't deliver too much, right? You could talk all day and all night and into next week about what you do in your business without any problems at all, because you're an expert, you've dedicated your life to it. You'll overwhelm them. So 3 key points, only 3. And that takes the bulk of your time. So you can see Nick's bringing the times up there. So the opening needs to be done in a couple of minutes. I'll give you a showcase of it in a minute. 3 key points, that's taking nearly all your time. A quick recap. So that's only going to take about 4 minutes, right? And I'll tell you the process for doing that in a minute. Then the call to action, yeah, that's 5 minutes. And this is where we actually get people to fill in forms. I've just filed them away, but I do my forms on pink, right? Big pile of forms like that I put in my filing cabinet the other day of forms that were filled in, 80 of them from a handful of speaking events in recent times, right? That added good context to my list, gave me referrals, gave me leads, and secured clients out of doing all of that. So a call to action. So there's a process that I teach in detail of how to get that. People will have no problem filling in the form, right? They do it. Some people say to me, why don't you use some electronic means? Well, I've done that. That's great for people who've never been in the field and not done what I'm talking about, to say you should use something like a QR code. The amount of fiddle farting around that goes on around the networking table with a QR code that people can't get their phones working, blah, blah, blah. And then all this kerfuffle happens. And then all of a sudden you've lost the command of the room. So, but everyone can fill in a form. Yeah, everyone can fill in a form, and you take along a bunch of spare pens because no one has a pen with them anymore. No problem. You're only going to be speaking to 16 people. Very easy to facilitate. Very easy to facilitate. So call to action. And then, of course, a final word, which is an uplifting word. I suggest you use the most motivating quote that you know. All of us have got our favorite quote, haven't we? One thing that sort of drives us forward. Work that into your conclusion. And it's a very, very simple conclusion. I'll give you a little bit of a showcase of it tonight. So Nick, leave this up. Don't touch anything for a minute. Let me take you through what we do with each of those points now. So the opening. So I strongly suggest that you do not stand up and do the name, rank, and serial number introduction that everybody else does at networking events, right? Everybody does it at networking events. So, hello, my name is such and such, and my business is such and such, and we do this, and we do that, and we, and you wee all over yourself at the front of the room, right? You've probably had the 30-second introduction bit of the networking event already anyway, right? So what you want to do is to stand up and you want to ask 3 questions. So the idea of this is to get people following you, right? So you're going to use your raised hand and get them to raise their hand so they're starting to follow you right from the word go. And you want to capture everybody in the room, right? So if you use opposites, you can capture everybody in the room. And if you have a little bit of a funny. So one of the things that I do if I'm speaking to an audience of small business owners, say at a Chamber of Commerce event, I'll say, morning, everybody. Who are the business owners in the room? Who works for themselves? And half the room is going to put their hand up. Who works for somebody else? Right, so I signify that it's an opposite, and that'll be all the sales reps who go to Chamber of Events to put their hand in the air, but they get a chance to put their hand in the air. And then I say, anybody wish they work for somebody else? And of course, all the business owners start to laugh, right? So you can work out a 3-way on that. So you can say, when I do the public speaking one, who's spoken in public prior with the purpose of generating leads? Who's not done much public speaking? Anybody done some public speaking but wish they hadn't? You know, and you get a bit of a laugh with that as well. And it's really good live. So you've got to do it with the body language, right? And really getting people to put their hand up because you want them to follow you through the presentation. If you start out with that, when you say in the middle of your presentation, who can relate to what I'm talking about, you're going to have people put their hands up again. And then when you say towards the end, who's gained something from what I had to say today, you're going to get the hands going in the air. So that's how to start. And then you would, so once you do that 1, 2, 3, yes, you would then just say your name. Don't start with your name. Start with asking those questions. And then you'd say, hello, I'm James McNamara, and today I'll be speaking with you about how to use public speaking to generate fresh new leads for your business. Yeah. So you're coming back to the title of the talk, right? That's why it's so important to craft the title of the talk. If you then want to add another few benefits to that, you could say, I'll be speaking with you about, and you state the title of your talk, By the time you leave today, you'll know how to, and you could do 1, 2, and 3 things, which is going to be your 3 key points that you're talking about, right? So that can be the summary. But I think it's enough to do the 1, 2, 3 questions, your name and the title of your talk. Let's get underway, right? And then you just move straight to the next point. So your segue is just to snap straight into the content, yes? And so with your 3 key points, imagine that you were in a helicopter 1,000 feet in the air, looking down on the title of your talk, written on the ground in 20-foot high letters in white paint, the title of your talk, and you only could make 3 points to bring that to life. To deliver on the promise of your title, you could make 3 key points. What would they be? Now, when I ask you that question, you've got to remember that what you leave out of your talk is as important as what you put into it. So many people try and cram too much into the talk. Don't do that. Because remember, what are you looking for? You're looking for a lead for someone that says, hey, Mark Grant, I got the problem you're talking about. They'll tick the box on the form and say, yes, please contact me. I want to talk to you. And then you're going to go into all of the detail with them about their specific situation when you have your one-on-one, right? So don't go into too much detail that can cause confusion that you can't clarify in a group setting, right? You've got to keep it simple, but not necessarily simplistic, right? You don't want to treat people like they're dumb, but keep things simple and don't overcomplicate it. When you are making your 3 key points, so I'm still on point 2 here. When you're making your 3 key points, don't explain them to death. So it's not a data dump, right? Bring your key points to life with stories and examples of when you've done this for a client in the past, right? Or applications of how what you're talking about could be used. If you're new in business and you haven't got that many clients, your experience, though, may give you application where you can paint a picture of how someone may use this. The reason why you want to use stories of clients you've worked for is the before and after, right? And you're painting a picture that subset of the audience, remember, you've got an audience of 16 to 20 people. There's a subset of 5 or 6 who are your target audience. You want that target audience of yours being able to put themselves inside the picture that you're creating, right? And so you can use before and after examples. So you can change the names to protect the innocent. I'm not suggesting that you give away private information. We're all too sophisticated for that. So for example, I had a client, let's call her Sally. Everyone knows you've changed her name, right? She lived on the north side. She was a single mum. When she came to me, she was just completely stressed out and worried about, and I gave this to a financial planner person, right? Completely stressed out and worried that she wasn't going to be able to provide anything for her children. She was a single mum with 2 kids, but she was also wanting to make sure that she didn't have to work until she was 90, and she was drawn, she was stressed, she was worried. And as she explained certain things to me, there were tears in her eyes. She was worrying. And what we did is we sat down and we mapped it out. And now we're 2 years down the track and she's just bought her first home in a way that she can pay it off. And when we talked and reviewed for the second year review, again, she had tears in her eyes, but they were tears of joy this time. She was just so happy that she's on the path and she's going to be able to succeed, right? So someone who has a need for that financial advisor's stuff is going to be able to put themselves inside that picture. And you would tell that sort of story around 3 of your key points, yeah? Now, what's going to happen, of course, the other 15 people in the audience who aren't your target audience are going to think you've done a really good presentation because you filled it up with easy to understand, relatable stories. So every which way you turn, you're going to get great feedback, but you're going to be an absolutely electromagnetic magnet for those people who have the problem you solve or have the desire that you can help them achieve. Is that making sense to everyone? Right? So that's the aim of the 3 key points. And tell stories, don't data dump, right? It's a bit like what I call the lick of the ice cream. You want to give them a lick of the ice cream and then take the damn ice cream away. They've got to come to your one-on-one meeting with you in order to get the details, right? So don't over-explain, because I know it's a common mistake, and people think, I'm just adding more value, I'm adding more value. And what's happening is the over-explaining is actually driving people away. Yeah. So they'll take up about 18 minutes, so 3.6 minutes each. It doesn't matter if one point takes more than the others. You might say, well, there are 3 key points, but point number 1 is so important, I've got to give it more time. That's fine, right? That's absolutely fine. And then you recap. So number 3 and number 5 act like a sandwich for the call to action. That's the strategy of this, ladies and gentlemen. It's all about being able to command and control the audience without being a controlling figure, but to control the audience. So we're starting to segue out of our presentation now by recapping. The recap is going to lead straight into the call to action. And what we're going to do as part of the call to action, we're going to let them know that once they've finished filling in those forms, you've got one final message to deliver, and then you're finished. You've got to do that, because what happens when, who's ever been to a workshop, you filled in the completion form at the end, turned it over and left the room because the workshop's over, right? You don't want people doing that, right? So it's a sandwich, right? It's a sandwich. So once you've finished the content of point number 3 and you've done that well and given that justice, you just simply say, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look at what we've covered so far. We start off with the idea of, and whatever your title was again. So mine would be how to generate leads from public speaking. And we've covered off on 1, 2, and 3. Don't re-explain it, just really hit those points. And then you're asking this question. This is really important. You're asking, who's picked something up from what I've said? And you're putting your hand in the air to do that. Now, they will put their hands in the air. Why? Because A, you've given a really good presentation. B, they've put their hands in the air for you 2 or 3 times before in this presentation as well. They put their hands in the air for you when you opened your mouth within the first 10 seconds. And then you've probably said through your content, who can relate to what I do, blah, blah, blah. All you do then is you just ask 2 people in the audience, one on either side of the room. That's it, right? And the people you pick are those who displayed the best body language, the most engaged body language through your whole presentation. They're most likely going to be your leads in the room anyway. Fantastic. What did you pick up, sir? They'll tell you 1 point. Thank you. Well, how about you? Point directly at them, but directly in their eye, what was you? And they'll tell you, right? And then you pick up the forms. And in my advanced training, I show you how to design the form and what to do. But I pick up the forms. I say, look, I've actually got some what did you like best forms here. That's what I call it. Don't call it feedback, because I give you feedback. What's feedback? Balancing good and bad. Get feedback if you run workshops at the end of the day. I always do. It's part of my process, but I never ask for feedback at a lead generation talk. I only want them thinking of the positive. Yeah. I've got some what did you like best here forms. Just put your details at the top. Tell me the best thing you gained from the presentation, if you could, please. And look, I've got a couple of options to tick yes here. And that's where there's a tick box for, hey, if they want to be in contact with you, then they tick the box. If they've got a referral for you, they tick the box. If they know somewhere else you can go and speak, tick the box. I got 17 recommendations from 9 presentations of other places to go and speak in Brisbane. I had one networking event that I didn't even know existed, got on there on short notice. They loved what I did so much that someone came to the course I was running, but then they also paid me to come back and run the full day course for their membership base. And I never even knew they existed. So, you know, I use those 3 things on the bottom of my form. Yes, not I want to know more. Yes, I'd like to talk with you about, and whatever your promise was. Again, you can use the title of your talk then again. Yes, I know someone else who, Don't get them to write the name down. You ring them and get the details of the referral. Yes, I know another networking group or business group that could benefit from today's presentation. You word it like that. And you'll walk out of that room with all those forms filled in. People have no problems. I've got 80 of them from the last lot of speaking. I'm going to show you the notes in a minute. 80 people out of 7 events. So they were small events. Some only had 6 in the room, some had 8, some had 15, 16 or whatever. But 80 people wrote down their name, their company, their personal email address and their mobile phone number and had no complaints doing it, right? And if they don't want to put their contact details on the form, they don't. But I very rarely get people who don't put their contact details on the form. So then you've walked away from that networking event with just half an hour of good, solid energy going into your talk, right? With all these contacts, referrals, and leads. And it's cost you nothing, right? It's cost you zero. So you must allow time, though, for the call to action. That's why the process up front, you can see number 1, number 2, number 3, those areas, why there's a process to them and you're reasonably snappy. Doesn't mean you talk fast. You just don't mess around between the points, because you need to allow 5 minutes to explain that little form, get the forms out to the group, hand out the pens to the people who didn't bring the form, give them time to fill it in, right? And then I just get them to fold it in half and sit it on the front of the desk. I don't want people collecting forms in my talk. Fold it in half, stick it on the front of the desk and just leave it there, and I'll get them at the end. And so then when I start to see that the majority of the room has finished filling in that little sheet, and it's just a slip of paper off my printer, right? The call to action form. Don't go and get anything professionally designed. Don't make it look like a form. And for goodness sake, don't make it look like a promotional piece. No one will touch it. It needs to look like a little slip of paper that you just printed out off your laser printer in your office before you came along, right? That's the secret to doing that. And the good thing about doing it that way is it's quite easy for you to organize. So you can always just, print them out the night before you do a presentation and away you go. So then I'm moving into the final word, and it's my uplifting quote. So one of the ones I did the other day, I say, ladies and gentlemen, if you just finish those up now, hey, by way of conclusion or a final remark, look, there's absolutely no reason why you can't be the guest speaker at a local networking or business event. You can be the one at the front of the room, and you can be building your reputation and generating fresh new leads to build your business. So come on, everybody, let's get out there and make it happen. A bit of a prompter, and then I sort of say, thank you. The whole room claps. Not that it's about getting the clap, but you think about it, ladies and gentlemen. The 4 people in the audience who tick the box to say, yeah, they want to talk to you more about the services you offer, those ones hearing the whole room clapping your presentation, they're just going, hey, I made a good choice, right? Who's familiar with the concept of buyer's remorse? Yeah. There's also the same thing happens with inquiry making. So people who make inquiry can get a bit of remorse that they even made the inquiry. Yeah. And they can pull back. So this guards against that remorse factor as well. Then you finish up and get off, right? And your organizer will come back on and they'll take the rest of the agenda for that particular meeting. You do not want to be the speaker that takes too long and messes with the agenda, because those people who come to those networking events come along loyally every week or every month, and there's a routine and a process. And if you mess up their routine and their process, they're not going to like it. So if they give you 25 minutes, that's it, 25 minutes. They give you 30 minutes, that's 30 minutes. By the way, if they only gave you 20 minutes, run exactly the same structure, but take the 5 minutes off here. Yeah? Take the 5 minutes off the 18 and a little bit off your recap. Don't take time off your call to action, for goodness sake, because that's the whole reason you went. Yeah? All that 1, 2, and 3 do, ladies and gentlemen, is earn you the right to ask for a lead in the room. That's why you've got to do a really good presentation. You earn the right then to ask for the lead, and there's never a problem with it. Never, ever a problem. Now, remember, in this sort of presentation, you're not selling from stage. I've done an awful lot of that in my time. You're not asking people to get their credit cards out and fill anything in, or making any more commitment than a tick of, yes, I'd like you to talk to me further about the products and services you offer. That's all you're asking for. And that's very low risk, very non-confronting, and very easy to do in this sort of an environment. Okay, move on for me if you can. So pull all of this up. Yep, that's it. It finishes with a ... in the end. So in just 7 weeks, I was a local guest speaker 9 times, and it yielded 59 leads. So 59 people filled in their full contact details, wrote me a nice little comment and ticked a box to say, yes, I want to talk to you further about what you do. 22 people said, yes, I know someone else. Some of those were from the 59, but some people didn't have a need for what I offered, but knew someone who did. So I just got a referral from them. And I had 17 recommendations from other speaking engagements. Some of those turned out to be overlaps, but there's probably another dozen places that I didn't really know existed, right? And I've been on this circuit for a while, and 80 contacts added to my list, right? All with zero cost, except for the petrol it cost me to drive, a few suburbs to do a presentation. Keep going, Nick. So nerves. Honest show of hands, who gets a bit nervy at the thought of standing in front of a room? Who's there? Who gets a bit nervy? Yeah. It's a few honest people. Some people haven't got the cameras on, so I can't see. That's okay. So let's have a look at this concept of nerves, right? So next one, Nick. That's it. I say to you, if you get nervous speaking in front of a group, welcome to the human race. Yeah, welcome to the human race. It's part of it. It's the great American motivators back in the 70s used to joke about the fact that the number one fear for the human being is speaking in public. The number two fear is the fear of falling. The number three fear is death by fire. And so I say to you, most of you would rather jump off the Q1 or be burnt alive than speak in front of an audience. So it's a common fear. So keep going, Nick. I think the key is for you to understand that you will always have some nerves. I was nervous getting ready for tonight, and I've been doing webinars for a dozen years or more. I get nervous when I go to live presentations, but it's a healthy nervous because I've learnt the strategies to be able to become in control of the nerves rather than them controlling me. So part of it is, and I'll tell you about the cucumber in a minute, I'm just leaving that there to make you really curious, right? Part of it is having that good structure, yeah? So that because when you look at that structure and the process, there's not a lot you can feed into it, right? A lot of people, when they write a talk, they'll type up pages of notes. It's too much data to remember, yeah? The process, the 5-step process, you can imagine yourself literally going from stepping stone to stepping stone to stepping stone in your talk. You can rehearse that quite well, and you'll always do it a little bit differently each time you do it when you follow the 5 steps, but pretty much the same, and you'll get used to saying certain things in a certain way. When you practice, ladies and gentlemen, practice out loud. Don't just run over it in your head. Practice out loud, because that gets the vocal tones and the rest of the body language and the full expression going. And the out loud practice is also some social proof for you that you can actually do this. You can do it and give a heartfelt, interesting presentation. Even though you're the only one experiencing it, you can still get to that point. When you start to learn it in those 5 steps. Learn the introduction and how you're going to do it. And when you feel comfortable doing that, learn the next part, which is your 3 points. So learn to deliver point number 1, point number 2, point number 3. So when I was practicing these things, or when I do practice these things, I practice them in chunks. So I learn step 1, and then I go and learn step 2, and then I deliver step 1 and step 2 together. And then I learn step 3, and then I go back and deliver step 1, step 2, step 3. And you do it in that way, so you learn to keep the flow of your talk going. It's a fair bit of practice in that, but once you've got the talk, it's with you forever. And you only need one good lead generating talk that you can dine out on again and again and again and again. So it's worth putting the effort in, right? And just work with the nerves. So a little bit of deep breath is really good, because if you breathe into your diaphragm, the air that's coming out is actually strong enough to firm up your voice over any quivering. And when you can feel nervy, but if you know you don't sound nervy at the front of the room, you're that little bit more comfortable. Does that make sense to everybody? But when you're nervy and it's plain as day that everybody else knows you're nervy, that's when you start really digging a bit of a hole for yourself. So don't worry about the nerves. Once I can get people to release themselves from stressing about the nerves and understanding that's very human, and if you prepare with a set structure and you practice out loud and you get into the field and you do your first talk, without any expectation of any success factor at all. I mean, you're not going to crash and burn, but just go and do your first talk. And then you know what you do? Just go and do your second talk and your third talk. And by the time you've done 3 of these at networking groups, you'll be on cloud 9. You'll have a greater sense of self, a greater sense of belief in what you're able to do. You'll have proven that you are able to overcome what seemed to be a fairly difficult task for you. And you will have well and truly memorized that presentation. So then you've got that marketing tool to use again and again and again. Okay, the cucumber, right? The cucumber, here it is. I was reviewing a quote by Dale Carnegie, actually. Now, you know Dale Carnegie wrote that very famous book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and he wrote a few other ones. One's called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, and so back in the 20s and 30s, his publishing career was. But before he really kicked off his publishing career, he used to run lectures, and that's what they called them back in the day, lectures and seminars and sermons and stuff in New York City, to the icons of industry on how to deliver powerful talks. And he had this really old style voice. And in one of his talks, he says, the person who professes to be as cool as a cucumber in front of an audience invariably delivers a speech that's about as interesting as a cucumber. So that plays to what we now know from modern neuroscience, which is that a little bit of nerves and anxiety is healthy, right? It puts you in a peak performance state. You're sharper in your thinking and your clarity. You move faster. As long as it's not overbearing you, a little bit of nerves is actually what you want, believe it or not. So it's a false goal to try and be eliminating nerves because you don't want to. Okay, Nick, it's moving right along. So your call to action, I think I've talked about that before. It's very, very important to do it. And I did want to put it in as a reminder again. Don't go weak at the knees and not do your call to action because you'll have put the time and effort in to go prepare, deliver, and you won't have walked away with a result. Do not think under any circumstances that if your talk is good enough, they're going to call you. They won't. Because like you, they're going to leave that networking event. They're going to go to another appointment. They're going to go to one after that. They're going to go to one after that. Then they're going to rush home, pick up the kids and take them to sport. And then they've got to cook dinner. And then they've got to get to bed. And then they get up and do it all over again the next day. You are forgotten by lunchtime if you do a breakfast presentation. Right? If you don't get the lead in the room, there's a very real chance you're not going to get it. So you do need the process. And once you get smooth with that process, you never get any pushback. You won't get pushback with it. Okay, keep going. This is what Nadia did. So Nadia she came to my workshop on a Friday and she had the opportunity to present on the next Tuesday. She found out about it on the Monday, right? So luckily she'd been practicing a talk. So she says, a few days after James' workshop, I delivered a 30-minute presentation to a networking group. I walked away with 3 quality leads, not bad for a 30-minute exercise. It was the first time I delivered the talk, so it wasn't perfect. I know it will get better and better and more leads will come from. That's Nadia, who runs a social media advisory company called Loud Digital. Keep going, Nick. This is self-perpetuating. So just 3 stars will come up on that. Nick, just press 3 more times. Stop. So I presented to a group in Mount Gravatt one time. This is about a decade ago. And this is why I start asking what other networking groups do you know? Because a lady came up to me at the end of that presentation and said she's running a business expo in Wynnum. Would I come and be a guest speaker? So I got leads from the first one in Mount Gravatt. Then I went over to be the guest speaker in Wynnum and I got leads from that. I met someone at Wynnum who was in the Thermomix direct selling crew and they asked me to come and be a speaker at their end of month function. And I went and did that and I got leads and made sales out of that. So after that, I started thinking I should systemize this and start deliberately asking, who else do you know? What other business networking groups do you know? So you only really need to get yourself booked the first few times and you will pick up referrals. And when you are referred from one, because quite often these people attend multiple groups, don't they? Some of you probably do, yeah? So if someone from within the group refers a speaker, they normally book them. Yeah, they normally book that guest speaker. Keep going, Nick. So who's gained something from what I said this evening? Show of hands or show of comments or something like that. Fantastic, fantastic. If I was live, I would ask 2 of you what was the best thing. I'd probably ask Mark because he's been sitting on the edge of his seat while he's been eating his muesli. Type in the chat, what was the best thing you got? Kirby Williams, 30 minutes. Yes, 30-minute talk. That's what networking events will give you. Yep. Mark, I'll just unmute yourself, Mark, and tell me what was the best thing you gained.
James, using a quote when closing.
Yeah, it's the best way to wrap it up. Best way to wrap it up. And just lean forward and say thank you like that with a little tiny clap of your own hands, and everyone will just start clapping. You know, that'll happen. The 30 minutes, the 3 things, fantastic. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. What else did you gain, ladies and gentlemen? Quick, one more thing. Fantastic. All right, Mark, Nick, I might get you to click to the next thing. Sorry. Sometimes when you get to the end of this presentation, I did do it a bit fast and furious tonight because we lost that 10 minutes messing around with the PowerPoint in the beginning. So sorry, but sometimes you feel information overload. So if you're sitting there and thinking, hey, this all makes sense, I'd like to be able to do it, but I want a bit more support and a bit more in-depth training, then I'm going to let you in on something that I'm releasing on Monday. Okay, Monday coming. So Nick, if you want to go through. So this is what people say from my workshop. So I just want to reassure you, not to brag, but I want to reassure you that the information is good, and this is a subject matter that I know extremely well, and I teach it extremely well. So when people attend my full day workshop, and this is what I've now packaged up and put online in bite-sized chunks that you can get to easily, I get them to rate me on a multi-rater scale. And you can see the ratings there, and the overall average is a 97% approval rating from everyday businesses like yourself. So I have bookkeepers in the room. I haven't had a professional speaker come to it yet, because I say that you don't have to be a professional speaker, though I have trained plenty of professional speakers all over the world in my time. But I had a pest control guy and a roof renovation guy in the room the other day, but real estate agents, plenty of bookkeepers, someone in a gift giving business, copywriter, videographer, guys out of the mining industry, you name it. They're all there. Let's keep going, Nick. Brilliant day for people who don't have experience in this area, well worth attending. That was a gentleman who owns and runs his own real estate agency. One more, Nick. If you desire to generate leads through presenting at networking and business events, James teaches a brilliant structure that you can quickly implement in an enjoyable and highly engaging workshop. This is Sophia Marie Lightfoot. She runs her own consultancy in wellness. And there might be one more, is there? Keep going. Okay, so let me tell you about what I've put together in terms of advanced learning for you. It's called Be the Guest Speaker, because this is what this is about. I don't believe you want to turn yourselves into professional speakers or coaches, but hey, there's no reason why you can't be the guest speaker at events in and around your local area, build your database, generate referrals, and generate leads. So launching on the 6th of December, I'm going to give you early access, even though the content won't be there until the 6th of December. But if you purchase and take on early access, I'm throwing in an extra bonus, which is all about how to get booked. Right? A lot of people think, okay, James, conceptually I understand that I could do a great talk. I could probably deliver a great talk. How am I going to get booked in the first place? Well, that's a little direct marketing exercise where you just got to do some outreach to the people who run these networking events, and I give you access to my templates and my scripts and email templates and flyer template and all those sort of things, so you can start your own little marketing system to make that work. It's very easy if you know what to do. But like a lot of people, if you're not a professional copywriter, then it's hard to put all that stuff together. So I've given you access to mine, basically, and you can lift bits out of that and make the changes you need, and you'll be up and running with your little marketing system to get booked in an afternoon without a problem. Keep going, Nick. So just stop there for a minute. So distilling your perfect topic. So that's a value of $97. So that's all about what am I going to talk about? Now, was it Ron who said out of the 6 weeks, it took them 3 weeks to work out what they were going to talk about? That quite often is what happens when people think about speaking. I could speak on this topic, I could speak on that topic, I could speak on the other. How do you distill that perfect topic? So that's really important, because that'll get you underway, get you past procrastination, get into action. Then there's the 5-step presentation formula in detail. right? And I'll give you some samples in there of actual critiques that I've given others from my live workshops. It's all been recorded, and you'll see how I critique people for the different things they do. It's all very, very supportive, and you'll see how I help people accentuate their own uniqueness in their style. I point blank refuse to try and put a square peg in a round hole. If you've got a particular mannerism or quirkiness about you, you should use that in your presentations because it'll make you unique, right? And we need to be able to do that in a confident way. So there's all of the training on how to do that with a 5-step formula, including the word-for-word script for how to do that call to action. That's incredibly important. I give you the script of how to do that. And that's one thing you should learn almost word for word because it's very important to get that process right. I'll give you the template for the form so you can just change it, little A4 form, change what you want on it and start printing it out and you're way to go. This just fast tracks. As I said, I've never been formally trained, but I got real good at this. I first started public speaking on school assembly when I was 15, and man, I was in Lismore, New South Wales. You could have heard my knees knocking from the Gold Coast. I was that nervous, but something about me wanted to master that method of one-to-many communication, and I just stuck at it, probably stupidly, determinedly, and I got very good at it, and then I turned it into a marketing system, and I'm going to share all those little nuances with you on this online training. Nick, one more. From fear to nuclear. So that's why I go into even more depth around how to get yourself mentally prepared so that you can deliver at your best. So it's from fear to nuclear. So being your absolute best and presenting, not being the best presenter, but being your best presenter in your way with your style and making sure that your mindset is fully comfortable and supporting yourself to be able to go and deliver. And then this is the fast action bonus. One more click, Nick. So this is the bonus on how to get booked, right? So it's not normally included, but because there's a little wait between today and Monday when it's released, I thought I would reward the fast action with a bonus. And that's the little direct marketing system that I talked about before for you to be able to reach out to the local networking events and get your first few bookings. And then, of course, with those first few bookings, you'll get the referrals to other groups as well. And there's no reason why you can't reach out to groups on the Gold Coast, in Brisbane and on the Sunshine Coast. I'm in the middle of both. I've over the years regularly spoken as far as Noosa and down to Tweed and everywhere into Brisbane. I mean, if you generate leads that turn into clients at a high rate, why wouldn't you drive an hour and a half to do a presentation? Know what I mean? And you practice your presentation out loud in the car all the way up there. So by the time you get there, you're delivering the best presentation of your life. Okay, so one more click. So it really is an A to Z system on how to use public speaking as a marketing tool in your business, not just to get booked once and have a bit of a nice, warm, wet feeling. Use this as a systematic way of generating quality leads. Let's go, Nick. So just to lay that out again, the complete A to Z system. So distilling your perfect topic, 97 value. 5-step presentation format, 297 in detail, fear to nuclear, 197, and the fast action bonus or pre-launch bonus, 197. Total value, 788. Tonight, only $97. Okay, because I want people to get this in their hands and start getting out there and presenting. And you know what? The organizers of networking events want you to do it too because they're always looking for speakers. Yeah. So next one, Nick. So that's the whole system. Here's the link. So there's a short link coming up now. I just put it as a bit.ly link so it's easier. So it's https://bit.ly/30-minute leads. And it's just gone into the chat. Thanks, Lorena. You're wonderful. So be a bit patient. That's my system that's got my learning management system on it as well as the cart for this. So if it takes a little while to come up, don't stress. But go ahead and type that in. And while I leave that up, Nick, I might just check if there's any questions. Or Nick, I mean, you've presented a lot, buddy. Did you have any thoughts or gems that came to mind throughout this last hour or so?
Look, I've just realised that I put too much into mine sometimes. I've been a 5-point speaker, and you've talked about a 3-point speaker. So sometimes I've gone over a wee bit with a 5 points. So for me, just having 3 points, it's a bit like a comedian. I've got a friend of mine who's a comedian. He said, it's boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. Yeah, that's how comedy sort of works. So, that there to me sort of said, this is a good success formula.
Yeah, so I'm not ignoring you. I'm looking for, I just put them in my filing cabinet down here. That, ladies and gentlemen, it's 7 presentations worth of leads, referrals, and contacts on the database, right? So just a little pink. Why pink? Because when someone says, oh, which form are we supposed to fill in? The pink one. It's done, right? It's easy. It's another little trick. I used to hand out white forms, and you wouldn't credit it. How could they get confused? They still get confused. They don't get confused when it's a pink form. So that's a massive big block of forms. So yes, I do the manual data entry. It doesn't matter. You're only going to enter 10 or 15, and then you're away. You're building contacts for life. So there you go. There you go. Very important thing to do. What other thoughts are coming to mind? Who was the lady who come on at the beginning and wanted to learn all about it? What did she got to say? Who is that?
That was Victoria.
Victoria, tell us what's on your mind, Victoria.
Well, aside from dozing off, which I apologise, I'm always tired at this time of night. I did learn. I definitely over talk on my talks, but I sell a composter. So I designed and sell an easy composter. So the people that I talk to are gardeners. Who would be wanting my talk except garden clubs?
Okay. Let me tell you. So when you go to a normal, so I said to the tradies the other day, right? The tradespeople, I compel and implore tradespeople to use this because they're the only ones doing it, right? They'll be the only ones doing it. But Victoria, I'm an avid gardener. I've got 4 compost bins in my backyard and I grow veggies all the time. And it's my little happy place to go and escape from all the people that I have to deal with. No one really knows. I grew up on a farm. No one believes I grew up on a farm, but I spent my first 18 years on a dairy farm. I've got the earth and, under my fingernails. I love the idea of gardening and composting, and I know how good that is. There'll be one of me who has that gardening flair in every single networking group audience you go and speak to without fail.
I'm still at a loss as to think what kind of networking groups you're talking about.
Oh, well, okay. Well, get the how to reach out to networking groups bit and read that, but they're everywhere. They're absolutely everywhere. Nick goes to one every what are you, monthly or weekly, Nick?
Every fortnight.
Every fortnight?
Well, actually every week because there's lots of them around.
It's a whole business thing now, isn't it, Nick? There are plenty of people who start up their own business networking groups and they make their money off membership fees and breakfast fees and all that sort of stuff. And it's a great little thing. Some people start up networking groups because they want to network and they didn't like the one they went to down the road and they got huffy and said, I'll start my own. They're everywhere, Victoria. You just got to get out and look. There's also meetups. I mean, meetup.com is big in America, but there's meetups and events on Facebook and all that sort of stuff. Once you start the process, and I would start with the low-hanging fruit, right, which is your local networking groups, because within there, you'll find the people who are buried inside of other specialist groups that you don't even know about. Yeah. And you've got to think about it. If I go to a networking group and I speak to 16 people and I get 3 leads for my composting system and I sell 2 of them, was it worth a half hour of my time? And if the answer is no, then don't go and do it. But if the answer is yes, then let's get going. Okay. Thanks, Victoria. Thanks for asking that.
James, can I ask you a question there?
Yeah, mate.
2 questions I've got.
You can only have one.
Well, in that case, I'm just going to cancel this order. I'm trying to complete.
Touche. You are quick. See that little fun. That if I was mentoring you one-on-one, I would say that little bit of cheekiness there has got to come through somehow in the talk because it's your natural style.
Completely out of character for me, isn't it, Nick?
Sorry, mate. I interrupt. Keep going. What's your question?
Questions from the floor.
Yes, don't take them at networking events, right? Do not take them. And I'm serious about this, and I get to ask this question a lot. Q&A comes because people who are coordinating and organizing these events often aren't professional speakers themselves, and they think, well, we'll have this and we'll have a bit of Q&A time because it's good for the members. And sometimes that's needed because there are a lot of people who go to these networking events and they give really crappy talks. And sometimes you got to have the Q&A to lever a bit of useful information out of them. But if you do a really good talk, structured smoothly and cleanly, like I was talking about tonight, they won't even ask for the Q&A. There that many times I go when it's on the agenda to have 5 minutes of Q&A, I just completely ignore it. But I know I'm going to give even more value than that. Because if I give Q&A, there's a couple of things happen, ladies and gentlemen. One is it chews your time for your call to action, right? It's gone. And the other one is that sometimes the class clown wants to upstage the speaker just because they want to upstage the speaker. And we're all tough enough to handle that, right? I've been speaking to senior police officers in leadership training for the last 15 years. They're tough nuts, I'll tell you. So we're all tough enough to handle that, but you don't want to get in the way of them ticking the box and say, yeah, I need to talk to that Mark guy because what he said was great. So you don't want some foolish behavior in the audience throwing people off the scent. Do you get what I mean? So if they give it to you, just say no worries, but then just have your talk and don't worry about it.
Timing. You just keep looking at your watch during your presentation to make sure.
Yeah, I get some of the networking groups are quite good. They have the timer going. There's one that I go to and they have the timer on the slide, but I just have the iPhone open and I just keep checking it. You can have notes when you present as well, right? There's no problem with that. But one of the things you'll learn is there's the way to take notes so you can keep reading from them. Never, ever, ever write them out long-handed. It's just a rod for your back. But just keep checking. And what it is, Mark, it's the discipline in your mind to go, okay, I'm not going to say that, right? Because stuff comes up when you're presenting. I'll just run off and add this little ditty in. I could tell that little story here. And I've done that many times. And you know what? It kills the time for my commercial.
Yep.
And the organisers, no matter how good your talk is, the organisers and the members get irritable if you're chewing into the rest of their agenda. Because like I said before, they come for their set routine, right? And the guest speaker's half an hour. And if you go for 40 minutes, then they have to squeeze up what they regularly do, and they don't like that. So it's what you leave out is as important as what you put in, right?
Yep. Thanks so much.
That's why out loud practice is so important, because you stand up and look at your wall and just pretend there's 16 happy smiley faces there and present to the Jip Rock with your stopwatch on your iPhone. And it just teaches you how to stay on time, yeah?
Yep. Thanks so much.
You're welcome, Mark. Victoria?
Yeah, sorry, I'm a big question asker. I'm really
Put
sorry.
on you.
Just now I've forgotten the question, just explaining that. Are you talking about these talks as being, talks I would normally do would be going to garden clubs, but are you suggesting this type of talking you're doing would be, say, on Zoom like this?
You could. Yeah, you could. It's a little bit different doing it on but there's a few different processes, particularly around the call to action. But no, I'm talking physically going to places like, so where are you on the Gold Coast, are you?
Brisbane.
Yeah, I went to a place that meets at the Meadowbank Golf Club called Real Relationships Networking Group or something or other. Never heard of them before. They were recommended to me. Unbelievably great group of people. Now, they're all, not all, but there are homeowners in there. There are professionals in there. There are tradespeople in there. I guarantee you in that group that I went and spoke to, there'll be 2 or 3 avid gardeners, be it veggie gardeners or flower gardeners, who would all understand the importance of building soil, which is what the composting is all about, right? You can do you could do a magic talk about that. I mean, you could do some unbelievable before and after shots. Yeah, it would be fabulous. And you could just hand those around. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you're speaking live at a networking event, I encourage you to stay the hell away from PowerPoint. Yeah. Some visuals are good, but remember, if you tell a story that's so vivid that someone can put themselves in the story, that's a visual. Do you get what I'm saying there? That's a visual, right? So I talked to the guy, he was at my training the other day, he was a roof restoration person, and we decided with him, he's going to actually produce a pull-up banner that's got the before and after shots on it as visual. He's going to put that at the front of the room. And I said, hey, buddy, can you get a bit of the stuff, when they repoint the roofs, the cement stuff starts to fall out in chunks. He said, yes, it does. And I said, can you get an old tile that's degraded before you redo it, and go and get them chopped in half so they're not so massive? And that's a prop. And you can hand that around the room as a prop, right? You cut it down to something that's manageable. And he really just started to go off with all of his thinking around what could he do. So absolutely. Nick, is there any more questions there?
Lots of thank yous. Thank you. Excellent. Thanks, James.
Fantastic.
Would you mind if I ask a question, Nick? Sorry to cut
Yeah,
in.
Eleanor, by all means.
I don't have a camera because of the bandwidth at the moment, but the question in regards to your very generous package, by the way.
Thank you.
The lead with that, the access for that, is that like lifetime? Can we download it, keep it, or is there a time period?
So it never goes away.
Okay.
And because what you'll find, I think, Eleanor, is you'll come up with a topic that you want to do, and you'll perfect that talk, and that will probably serve you well for a while. And then you might get to the point where you say, you know what, I probably want a second talk. And it's really good to then just zip back through, elements of the training again as you're prepping that second talk.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. I just wanted to know whether it was something that was a time limit on it, the access for it.
No.
Or whether we can use it. Okay.
As long as you can read and listen, it'll be there. What's your area of expertise, Eleanor, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm an end-of-life doula, which works with people advanced planning their end-of-life peace of mind.
Yes.
Both before their diagnosis and after their diagnosis.
Fantastic. So you would, just thinking out loud for you, I think you'll do well from referrals out of networking groups, right? Because the actual target audience may not be sitting in the room, but their loved ones who are worried about them. And if you do a very sincere presentation, which I'm sure you will on this particular subject matter, and if it's your passion, you'll do that justice. What you'll find is that, and I probably wouldn't even, when structuring a little form, and you'll see the template in the course, take the first one out, which is, yes, I'd want to know more about your services, but do the, yes, I know someone who could benefit.
Yeah, right. Because I know what you're saying, but with my target audience, it's them or their carer, and their carers are often those full-time workers with their own family and their own jobs and businesses, looking after their elderly.
Yes.
So it's very much about them that I support, is for them to not have to do it themselves or all on their own. It's either, so their client could be the one. My client could be the one that's dying, but my client could also be the one supporting them. So,
yes. I see what you mean. You mean.
Yeah. So I want to capture that full-time working. I'm exhausted because outside my normal full-time life, I've got a relative or a friend or a lover or a partner that has been diagnosed or is in their active dying stage, and I'm trying to do everything.
Yes.
And we support. That's what I support.
Well, I still think the referrals will work well at those general networking groups, and it's also I think it could be a very interesting topic, particularly because we've got that sort of I guess aging population now, haven't we? So I think that that's where I would start, and then if you've got are there other sort of industry groups or professional groups or meetups or things like that?
Yes, I would be. I mean, in reality, in that field, and I think this is for every business, you can extend your market, but anyone over 18 years of old with their own capacity, that's got capacity of sound mind, is a client to complete their advanced care plan, make sure that they've got their wills done, get their paperwork in order, because you don't have to be old to have an accident. Or to
the other one that's just occurred to me as you're using that language, I mean, I wonder, could you organise yourself a talk that goes to the professional service providers who help people with this stuff, but not talking about doing the lawyering bit, but talking about, well, maybe they can introduce you to their networks or have your card on hand or those sorts of things. That would be a slightly different talk, I think. That's why you need the two talks eventually.
Yeah, it's actually why I need the three, because one is in the,
3 talks.
well, it is because one is like I've had an offer from my accountant to be sent out to his mail list, because he's just developed an estate planning leg to his business.
Yes.
And he's sitting down with them doing the wills and then sending it off to a lawyer, and then he's talking to people about advanced care.
Yes.
And I apologise if not everyone is familiar with advanced care. I understand that not everybody is with that document. So he sort of said, hey, if I send you out to my client base and then they need, because I coach people overcoming death and dying conversations, that fear of not being able to have that conversation, exploring their values and where their cultural ethnicity is coming from, and where's that really come from? Is it, a cultural fear that we have to do everything ourselves?
Yes.
Or was it just because, your father or mother was, born from a generation that never talked to about that,
Yes.
dying was like giving up. So from that perspective, he's like, some of my clients can't come to the concept that the one day they might die. And he's got clients with, one of his clients was $50 million, 2 blended families, 7 children, and she died without a will.
Wow.
And the 2 families were estranged from each other. And he was just like, okay, I need to, so that there's that sort of, you're right, it's that kind of like supporting those related services, the same 100%. As the funeral industry.
Exactly. And I'll just make this last point, but you remember way back at the beginning of the presentation, I listed up all those groups where you can speak, and one down the bottom was Lunch and Learn. So I think that
I missed the beginning. I got into the presentation when you.
So the concept of a lunch and learn is going in for half hour over the lunch break, and it's a free presentation. But you could be doing that in the law firms, the smaller boutique law firms that have a speciality in this, and taking that topic in. So there it is. Thanks, Mark. Lunch and learns down the bottom. So interesting. So there's so many avenues, and you're right. You'll understand how to tweak the talk depending on the audience you're giving it to, whether it's the actual end client or whether it's a referrer to the client. They'll be slightly different talks. But thanks, Eleanor. That's terrific.
Okay. Thanks for asking.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, Nick, what do you think, sir?
All right. Well, should we go to the last slide?
Yeah, look, if you want to get that's an example of how you can use a QR code on a PowerPoint, and that works in a room, or it also works here. So if you pull your phones out and use your QR code thing, it just asks you for your email address, and then what will happen is that simple checklist will come across to you. Of course, the comprehensive training was on that other link, but there's a simple checklist there. Fantastic. Well, thank you for the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you generated some good ideas for tonight, and you've got excited about being able to present and build your business doing it that way. And I can't stress enough that getting yourself ready and booked with these networking events for the beginning of next year, that's such a good time, because people are in a sense of renewal and wanting to try different things, and the sense of change. They made some hard decisions over Christmas, so damn, I'm not doing that again, or whatever. It's a really positive time for picking up leads and referrals out of networking groups between January and Easter. So go for it. Go for it. I hope it works for you. Send me your results. Get via Nick. Send me the updates on how you go. I'd love to know.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, thanks very much, James. That was a sensational talk. Really, I could see you obviously know what you're doing, and you preach what you speak as well, because I saw lots of nods and engagement in the room as well too, and you delivered that so well. So I've taken away a heap of notes as well too. And I've been a long time speaker, so you can never learn less. So you've got me improved.
Thank you, Nick.
All right. So now you do have something to give away today too, don't you?
Yes, I do. So we can't share screen, can we? No, I can't. No, it's not working. I did have a little fly show. So there's a program I developed called the Sales Advantage, and it's a whole heap of very practical training for when you are dealing in that sort of one-to-one sales capacity. So it talks to you about how do you write well for the sales communications that you will do, because quite often sales are lost because we inadvertently shoot ourselves in the foot when we've got to put something in writing. And it takes the writing to another level as well. And it gives you a whole training on how to turn quotes into compelling proposals. You don't want to quote for business, right? Stop doing it right now. You should never quote for business, because all it does is focus the eye of the reader on the price. Even if you've already had a meeting with them and everything went well, if you give them a quote, it'll kill your conversion rate. So you need to craft winning proposals. So there's a 16-page document on that, including 3 templates. So this is what's going out for the lucky winner tonight. Again, normally valued at $97. Nurturing client relationships. There's my strategy on how do you lead a one-to-one sales meeting. And that's what a lot of people do wrong when they go so that discovery part of how you do really dig up the gold and the true needs of the client, the real reasons why they will buy. Unless you can lead that sales meeting well, you won't do the discovery well. So I've got a whole process there that I teach you how to do that. It's very ethical. It's very down to earth. And I've had people who come from marketing backgrounds who hate the sales side of things with a passion, have turned around and said to me, you've changed my whole opinion on what sales is about. So I'm not a greasy, cheesy, pushy salesperson. I don't teach people how to do that either. So there's some, I'll just add them up here, 9, 5, 14, 19, 21. There's about 23 videos and a bunch of documents in this sales advantage. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6 major lesson areas. And that's available online as well with lifetime access. So whoever wins, Nick, they've got a lot to learn from the sales advantage stuff.
If they bought the program that you had tonight and they've got the sales advantage, they can collect all the leads and then they have a process to convert them into sales.
100%.
All right. Victoria.
Sorry, is that program you're selling tonight, James, is that an online thing you do yourself, or is it right?
Yeah, so it's a whole series of videos and documents and templates and things like that that just guides you through step by step by step.
Okay, thanks.
All right, well, we do have our wheel of names up with all of the names in. Remember, you have to be here to win, so if they're not, we rejoin. I know some people had to leave a bit earlier. So let's draw our wheel of names. Drum roll, please. Lucky winner for the second week in a row is Jeff Field.
Hello there, guys. Thanks very much. I'm on a winning streak.
Wow.
Yeah, better come back next week as well. It'll be sort of 3 in a row.
Right, I got 3 out of about the last 6. That's not too bad.
Holy, that's great.
Excellent. All right.
Thanks, James.
Excellent.
You're
All
welcome.
right.
I'll be in touch with you via Nick and Jeff, and we'll get that online access for that set up for you, hey?
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Okay, guys. Hey, look, the link is still in the chat. Make sure you grab that link. And so obviously with all of these pre-release things, it's often a super duper special before the release date. So it'll go up in price after the release date for sure. So if you want to jump on it now and make sure you secure it.
And now's a good time to save that chat by clicking the 3 dots at the bottom right-hand side. Then you'll have all of those links to the cool online tools and to the program as well. All right, so let's give a big round of a virtual applause to James. Fantastic presentation tonight, James. I appreciate you coming on for us tonight. And for those that I was going to say those that missed it, but how did you miss it? Because you're all here. But for those that want to watch it again, or those that are watching on Facebook, this will be up on YouTube tomorrow afternoon. If you go to Facebook, subscribe to the go to YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube Smashgo channel. And when you subscribe to it, click the bell beside the subscribe button. When it'll pop up after you've subscribed, you'll get an email to let you know that the video has been uploaded at the time that it's ready to be there. So once again, thanks, James, for your time and your knowledge tonight. Thanks, everyone, for showing up. And thanks for persisting with our unusual technical challenge at the beginning. We did try it all out. We did all the right things. But obviously, Zoom sort of was playing up as well, too. So again, have a good night and look forward to seeing you again next week. Thank you for tuning in and listening to the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast. You can also find me on social media and online. Just search for Business Owners Smashing It Online and Nick Cree, spelled Nikree, all one word. If you like this and want to hear more, subscribe now. Until next time, don't be a slave to your business. Get your business working for you.